It said, renew the thinking in your mind by the Spirit, and clothe yourself with the new person created according to God's image in true righteousness and holiness. The Bible says, stop acting that way. The Apostle Paul's writing and he says, stop being so offended. He's writing and he says, stop responding and reacting like a child. Stop responding and reacting so immaturely. He says, stop wearing old clothes. Stop wearing stuff that doesn't fit anymore. I know you've gained a little bit since high school and college, but if you got to tuck it all in and stop. He said, change your ways. Listen, you're going on a journey and you have the choice to pack what you want to pack. You have the choice. The decision is yours to say, I'm not bringing this on my trip. This is my wife's, and it's beautiful and it's lovely, but I'm able to choose not to bring it on my trip. Why? It looks great. Because it doesn't fit. I messed up your worship when I came out wearing it. That's why I shouldn't wear it. You were talking about Jireh. Why is he wearing that? That's what you did. So I wouldn't pack that for my trip. Verse 24 said, clothe yourself with the new person. Say the new person. Created according to God's image. In this second installment of Adult Children, I want to talk about the coats we wear and the coats we keep bringing with us in our bags. The coats we keep packing on our journey. Last week we talked about baggage. Do you remember? Yes. We did. I'm excited about this series. I'm more excited about this series than any series I've ever preached. I might just be more excited about this sermon today than any sermon I've ever preached because of what the word I believe God wants to give us. But we talked about baggage last week. We talked about how we accumulate that baggage from birth to around 16 years old. 2 phases, 0 to 8, and then 8 to 16, but both primary form our baggage. But then what we do is we bring all that baggage that we accumulated during childhood into our adult lives. We take it to college with us. We bring it into our marriages. We take it to our jobs and our friendships and our parenting, and then we ask everybody else to carry it, or we ask everybody else to tiptoe around it. And when that happens, when those choices are made, dysfunction takes place. Say dysfunction. Yes, you remember. Listen, dysfunction. To not function properly. Don't be mad at me. Don't be offended. You are dysfunctional. And I can say it because I'm dysfunctional. I've got some stuff. There are 100%, no doubt about it, some areas in your life that have not been functioning properly. Say amen. There are some areas in your life that are dysfunctional, and it's been dysfunctional for a very, very, very long time. Listen to this. How you function today is primarily determined by your experiences as a child and how those experiences made you feel, what emotions they brought to light. So there were times that you felt loved. Praise God for that. There were times that you felt accepted. You felt affirmed, you felt safe, and you felt secure. You felt approved, you felt supported, and you felt stability. And that's a great thing, and we need to thank God for those times. And we need to thank our parents and our teachers and our coaches and our aunts and our whoever had influence on our lives and the voices that we had, because we built our house based on those things. Our mind was shaped based on those things. Your behavior, and more importantly, your beliefs were formed in and through those experiences. But unfortunately and sadly, because of the fall, there were also times that you felt neglected, that you felt forgotten. There were times that you felt unsafe and insecure. There were moments that took place that had you feeling and left you feeling rejected, deprived. You felt exposed, unwanted. You felt not important. You felt at times unloved. And those experiences, whether traumatically or chronically, had feelings and emotions attached to them. So whether it was like a 1 or 2 or 3 time just traumatic event that scarred you for life, or chronically happen, daily or weekly conversations, experience, whatever it is, they had feelings and emotions attached to them. And those feelings and those emotions began to shape you and what psychology would call you, program you. Well, I'm not a robot. You're not, but your brain can be programmed. Now, we're not there yet, but you can reprogram your brain. Through the power of the Holy Spirit. Spoiler alert, listen. That's why you think the way that you think. It is. That's why there's a reason that you're afraid of what you're afraid of. There's a reason that you're triggered by what you're triggered by. There's a reason that you're offended by what you're offended by. There's a reason you struggle with the things that you struggle with. And there's a reason that you process information in situations, the way that you process situations and informations. It's how you function. Do you understand? And when it's not functioning properly, it's dysfunctional. And every single one of us in this room today, every single person watching online has some dysfunction. We have some destructive baggage in our lives that must be confronted, because if it's not confronted, it cannot be changed. This is just truth. Listen, there's no way around this. You can't hide from it. You can't run from it. It will always catch up to you. You can't just ignore it long enough and hope it goes away. Your dysfunction will follow you. Your dysfunction will find you. That's the reason that it keeps getting passed down from one generation to the next. It's because you and everybody else in your life accommodates to the dysfunction instead of addressing it and doing something about it. If you remember last week, our dysfunction can be traced back to our original family of origin, the original mom and dad, Adam and Eve. You remember them, right? Like them, we often try to take control and do what we think is best. In this series, we're going to talk about how all sin, every single sin, originally comes down to pride. I want to be God. I want to be in control. I know what's best. Adam, Eve, and every single person since has come down to I want to be in control. I know what's best. My idea, my way. My dysfunction gets in the way. And that dismissive attitude is called sin. And all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, right? Romans 3:23. What does that mean, Pastor Stevie? What's it mean to fall short of the glory of God? It means that every single one of us missed the mark. But here's why I'm so hopeful today. Here's why I'm excited about this series. Listen to this. If someone can begin the cycle of dysfunction, someone can break it. Think about this. If someone can begin the cycle of dysfunction, someone can break it. If someone can start those bad habits and those issues and that cycle and that generational curse and the things that get handed, somebody can stop it. Somebody can say that's enough. Somebody can break it. I'm living proof of this. Some of you are living proof of this. You've done some things. You've changed some way. You've changed your mind in some ways, and you might be able to say, like, wait, hold on. There's a way that I can change this? Yes. How? In just those two verses, Ephesians 4 gives, in two verses, it tells us exactly how we can change the dysfunction and break the cycle of dysfunction in our lives. Listen, it said, renew the thinking in your mind by the Spirit, and clothe yourself with the new person created according to God's image. It said renew, reestablish, transform, replace, recondition the thinking in your mind. So I just have to think different once and it's all fixed? Oh, no. You got to think different like 7 billion times a day. When you speak something that you know was unkind, you say, that was not very kind. I'm sorry, I'm going to do better. When you do something that wasn't very loving, you say, that's not good, I shouldn't act that way. When you're not very gentle, when you don't have much self-control, in that moment, you have to realize, wait, this is wrong, this is not okay, and then begin to change your thinking. And when you change your thinking, your behavior starts to change. I said last week that psychology, they take, and I said I'm fascinated with it, I love it, the study of the mind and our behavior, but one thing that secular psychology has missed is the cause. the core. They'll take words that, ironically, the Bible has been teaching for thousands of years, and then they attach it, and they say, oh, you need to do this, but the core is sin. And if we don't understand that we are sinful people and we have been given sin from birth, we'll never be able to turn from it. We got to repent. We've got to turn away. So that's the way that we do it. There's a way to clothe yourself with the new person God created you to be. There's a way to live out your true calling and purpose as a child of God. And I want to quickly look at one of my favorite stories in the Bible about how Elijah began that process. What decisions he made to get where he needed to be, to live out the calling that God put on his life. Because God does have a calling on your life. And its primarily calling is for you to become more into the image of his son, Jesus. How do I do that? By changing the way you think, by changing the way you believe, by changing the way you behave. Look at it again, 1 Kings chapter 19. It says, so Elijah, you remember Elijah, I preached on him 3 or 4 weeks ago. This actually happens right after he leaves the cave, get up, go out, go back. Remember that? You know, I know y'all remember that exactly because you wrote them down and you took notes, you know, but get up, go out, and go back. And so Elijah went from there and found Elisha, son of Shaphat. He was plowing with 12 yoke of oxen, and he himself was driving the 12th pair. Elijah went up to him and threw his coat around him. Elijah then left his oxen and ran after Elijah. Let me kiss my daddy and my mommy goodbye. Let me go kiss my father and my mother goodbye. Then I will come with you. Go back, Elijah replied. Go. I'm not holding you back. In this passage, there's a great parallel of what happens in the life of Elijah, who went on to be a great prophet, who absolutely lived out the calling that God put on his life, and what takes place in our lives. And so today I want to give you 3 invitations that I believe, if you accept them, they will help you break the cycle of dysfunction in your life, at least get you started. Here we go. The first invitation is, write them down, please, an invitation to a higher calling. God is inviting you and I to live out our purpose. There's a higher calling on our lives. I believe it's important to point out what Elisha was doing when Elijah found him. Look at verse 19 again. So Elijah went from there and found Elisha, son of Shaphat. He was plowing with 12 yoke of oxen, and he himself was driving the 12th pair. God will always meet you right where you are. Always. Before you have it figured out, before all your problems are fixed and all your questions are answered, while you're still dysfunctional and have all your issues, God will meet you right there. And I'm so thankful for that. Anybody else? Yeah. Ty was talking to a friend this week, that we've been talking to, and just really great, awesome dude. And he was inviting him to church. And this guy, he says, one of the sweetest dudes you ever met. He goes, but don't I have to reach a certain status or know a certain amount or do some things before I can come to your church? And Ty said, no, that's not the way that works. You can come as you are. That's one of the problems with the churches, by the way. It's not functioning properly. They say you have to fix some things, change some things. You have to start doing some things before you can come to God. That's religion. That's dysfunctional. Jesus said everything that needed to be done, I've already done, so now you're able to come. That's the proper function. That's the way that it works. And when we realize the way things are supposed to work and the way that things are supposed to be, the truth is what sets us free. So it says, come, just as you are. When Elijah walks up and throws his coat or his cloak or his mantle over Elisha, at this moment, Elijah was choosing Elisha. He was calling him out. He was telling him that there's something special about him. There's something great within him. And he's telling him that there is a higher calling on his life and that some things need to change in order for him to experience that calling. You see, there comes a time that you and I must realize that the way we've been doing some things need to change. Matter of fact, there comes a time where maturity starts taking place, that we understand that there were some things that we were doing that weren't necessarily bad or wrong. They just can't be things that we do in this season any longer. What got us through that season might not get us through this season. There was a time that Elisha was supposed to be plowing in the field. Matter of fact, I've used this in another text before, talking about, if you want to prophesy and you want to preach, you better not be above plowing, right? You better be going to work. You better be doing your thing. But God's call on Elisha was no longer to plow. It was to prophesy. So you better be faithful where you are, but sometimes you can't bring some things in this season into the next season. And always what you were doing in this season is preparing you for the next season. So you got to be faithful. But God says some things have to change. You see, we become so complacent and so comfortable with the way things are, we can't see how things could or should be. The rear of an oxen has blocked our visibility for long enough. And God says, no, it's time for you to come out and to change some things. It's called our normal. And different terms go around, phantom reality, our fantasy land, right? The things that we live in that we think are normal but aren't normal. Oftentimes we can't see our dysfunction because we have no idea it's dysfunctional. We can't see our blind spots because they are in fact blind spots. And you can't see blind spots because they're blind spots, right? Talk about my feelings? Are you kidding? We're supposed to just sweep them under the rug and never talk about them for all eternity. Talk about my feelings, what? Say I'm sorry? Are you crazy? We don't say I'm sorry. Listen, we just ignore it for a few days or a few weeks and let everybody cool off, and then we get back together and just pretend like nothing ever happened. Do you know how weak and vulnerable I would seem if I said I'm sorry? What the heck? Miss my aunt's 42nd birthday that's 8 hours away? Are you out of your mind? Of course I'm going to bribe my spouse to drive 8 hours and 8 hours back, and we're going to leave school early and deprive my kids of sleep and rest and their education, because if I don't go, my mom's going to guilt me into thinking that I don't love her or anybody else in my family. So of course we got to go to the birthday party. Duh, can't wait. Speak up and give my opinion? Pastor, what kind of Kool-Aid are you serving here? My dad will make me feel like an idiot, remind me of everything that he's ever done and everything he's ever given me since I was 2 months old, and how he's right and I'm wrong, and how I owe him complete and utter devotion and silence for eternity. This guy, give my opinion. We laugh, but we're guilty of it. Uh-oh, this was not in my notes. Go to a different church? My church, we haven't seen anybody saved in 30 years. Nobody's been baptized. And they're doing the same thing they've always done. And they're unwilling to change. And no one's coming. Nobody's being saved. But I can't leave because my grandma will be mad at me. We say it out loud, and it kind of starts sounding like adult children. Goodness. And there's this cycle of dysfunction. And we don't even know it's dysfunctional until we see that it's dysfunctional. It's one thing that I do believe in counseling and therapy and small groups. We were talking this week about why it's important to go to church. That doesn't matter right now. I'm going to go back on. I only got 18 minutes left. Come to the 12:30 service. I'll elaborate. Church gives you everything that you need in community and discipleship. There's 7 or 8 or 9. I thought you said you weren't going to say it. I am. There's 7 or 8 or 9, and one could argue principles, core principles that will help you grow, help you change. And church and the community of church gives you every single one of those. So it's like a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you do that, right? But you start hanging out with other people. You get in a group. You start sharing these feelings. And someone says, that's not right. That's not okay. You understand that's not okay, right? But that's my mom. That's my dad. She loves me. Sure she does. No, we're not talking about love. We're talking about dysfunction. We're talking about unhealthy cycles. We're talking about generational crap that's been sitting. We're talking about baggage that you're carrying that's way too heavy for you to be carrying. Stuff that you're dealing with that you weren't meant to deal with. Matter of fact, in this series, we're going to talk about how the way that adult children become adult children is because adults expect children to act like adults. And when this dysfunction takes place for long enough, chronically or traumatically, those kids grow up and become adult children. And then the cycle continues. Oh, quit that crying, boy. I'm only 3. I'm supposed to cry. You know? Get a job. Pull your weight around here. I'm going to sit here and do nothing. It's like, well, I'm only 4 years old. Oh, I can't wait for next week. Little League. That's going to make y'all mad, by the way. It is. It is. I'm prepared for half the church to leave. I am. But the truth will set you free. Acting like your 7-year-old's playing in the World Series, making $8 million, screaming and cussing at a coach of a freaking baseball game. Grow up! People start throwing stuff in the South. But yet we won't get up and take them to church, and that's not a big deal. That's not my sermon. Y'all stop that. When Elijah felt that coat hit his shoulders, it represented his calling, his higher calling. And after this, everything was supposed to change. And he knew this. If you saw Elijah, the elder prophet, he didn't even have to say a word. All he did was throw that coat on Elijah, and he knew from this moment forward, everything changes. That's why it's supposed to happen. That's why that hard things are supposed to take place in your life. That's why you're supposed to be faithful with what God has given you, because there comes a time where he says, now you're moving on. We would say it like this in 2020, now it's time to level up. Sometimes I'll talk to people and I'll celebrate with them and I'll encourage them. Listen, and what got them there and what they did and the sacrifices they made and the decisions and the changing of their mind, it's like, I couldn't be more proud, but you can't stay here. It's time to level up. So now it's done with just like apologizing for those things and saying, I'm sorry. Now it's starting to renew your mind that you don't ever even say those things. And then you start moving to a place that you don't even think those things. There's a process. It's the higher calling. A lot of times we waste that calling. Not completely ignore it, not completely throw it, not that it was given to us and we threw it. No, we waste our calling. And this is what I believe to be so true. Listen, most people aren't in danger of ruining their lives. They're in danger of wasting them. Most people, and again, I'm not picking on an addiction, most people aren't going to be like cracked out and be an alcoholic forever and lose everything and end up homeless. You know what I mean? That's not the way that it usually works. That happens. But most people are in danger of just wasting their lives. I don't want to waste my life. I know that you don't want to waste. I don't want to just scrape by. I refuse to allow my marriage to just survive. I refuse. I refuse to have my kids have just a semi-present dad. I refuse to instill, come back next week, values and priorities in my kids that won't matter a billion years from now. I refuse to live in my past when I know that my future is waiting. I refuse to stay stuck in my ways because of my pride. That's what we have to choose. And we get trapped in dysfunction. We get trapped in these issues and these problems, and we start wasting our lives because we do the opposite. We sin, we do the ways of the world instead of Ephesians 4. So what it says, clothe yourself with the new person created according to God's image in true righteousness and holiness. I have kind of a magic trick. Y'all like magic? Come to 901 Church. We offer great worship, vibrant. Y'all like that first song, by the way? It might get loud. Reminded me of heaven. 3 people love that song. This is what we do right here. Watch. I'm going to show you a magic trick. Watch. I can make this jacket raise its right arm. There's power. There's magic in this jacket. Y'all ready? Are you ready? Raise your right arm. Hold on. Raise your right arm. We talked about this, okay. I need you to raise your arm right now. Raise your right arm. Shrug your shoulders. Oh wait, hold on, I know how to do it. I know how to do it. Hold on a second. You see, it doesn't have any power until I put it on. So what I've been wearing my whole life, what I did was say, ooh, look at this coat. Do you like this coat? I hope you like this coat. You sure? Why'd you look at it that way? Because I bought it just for you. I didn't buy it for me. I don't even like it. I bought it so you would like it. Grace and evangelist, right? You know, I bought this. I hope you like it. I got it a few years ago, and I stopped wearing it because I thought it wasn't cool anymore, but then it came back, and one time Ty was like, hey, I like those little awesome black stripes on there. I was like, oh, cool. You know, I guess I'm cool again. I'll start wearing it again. Y'all like that? Oh, this isn't your jacket. You don't like this jacket. You don't do that? Okay. Ooh, what about this jacket? Ooh, yeah. What about this one? Ooh, I can't even fit in this one. Oh, I'm not going to wear that one, no. Yeah, it's time for me to stop wearing it. But you know where I got this jacket? Universal Studios. And they were like, hey, you should probably work here because you're awesome. But I was like, no, I don't want to work there. I've got my own job. They're like, you really should. You're so good looking. You're funny, you know, and you're talented. You could be on stage. I was like, no, I don't want to. But that's where I got this jacket. This jacket was like $700, I swear. I don't care about your jacket. No, shut up. No, this is where I got my jacket. Your jacket, so I got this one. Now, tell me about your jacket later. I want to talk about my jacket. Uh-oh. I just hope you guys like this jacket because I like it. But what if you don't? Then I got to take it off and I'm going to freeze because it's got little puffy little things underneath and it was going to. But if you don't like it, I obviously can't wear this because what if I lose my jacket? What if I go and I take it off and I sit it down and I lose it and somebody steals? What if somebody steals my jacket? Oh my God, there's thieves out there. What if I steal my jacket? Then I don't have a jacket. Then I'm going to freeze anyway because I wore a jacket that I didn't even like, but I wore it for you because I was worried what you'd think, but then somebody's going to steal it and I'm going to have a jacket and I'm going to be empty. Oh my God. What if I get sick while I wear a jacket? Does this jacket have Lysol on it? My God. Y'all laugh, but we keep putting them on. I don't even think I can wear this one. I can't. I shouldn't wear this because I don't even deserve to buy it. I don't deserve to wear it. Matter of fact, my uncle gave me this, and he reminds me every time I'm wearing it that he bought it, and I should wear this. And oh my God, and I let my friend borrow it for a Halloween party, and God, it's a little too tight. You ever put this one on? You know why I picked this jacket for this one? Because it reminds me of the Fonzie. He's perfect, yeah. Hey. I mean, come on. You guys like this? I don't care if you like it or not. It's awesome. It's expensive. It's perfect. Hey, babe, you like this? I don't care. This one right here. Do you know how much this jacket was? I'm going to tell you. I've got to tell you, because I've got some egotism too. This jacket was $400. Don't look at the tag. It says H&M. I bought 7 of them, so that's equivalent to 400. Yeah. But guys, listen, this part's true. Watch. It didn't fit perfectly. I got it for Wade's wedding. So I went and even got it tailored for me. It was awesome. I told him, hey, listen, hey, bro, I'm doing this wedding, got to look good. And this guy was like, you look so awesome. And he told me I'm the best, and I've got to tell you how much it was. If I don't tell you how much it was, you don't think it's awesome, right? Matter of fact, I'm exaggerating how much it was. Because an $80 jacket, you know what's cooler than an $80 jacket? A $225 jacket. Week 4, we're going to talk about why we do what we do. I'm not lying because I like to lie. I'm lying because I want you to think I'm better than I am. I'm lying because I've got to get your approval. So what do we do? How in the world do we stop with the approval and the deception, the egotism, the worry, the anxiety, the guilt, the critical? Oh my goodness. Some of y'all are so obsessed with how somebody else is wearing their jacket, you can't even enjoy your jacket. Just shut up. So how do we stop? It's easy. Stop wearing it. It has no power until I put it on. It has no effect until I actually use it. It can't raise its right arm. It can't raise its left arm. It can't shrug its shoulders until I put it on. I can't wait till the last week when we talk about what we should wear and what we should put on and what we should bring on our journey in our trip. We have the choice to choose what we bring and what we leave behind. We have the choice to choose what we wear. We have a higher calling. Tell your neighbor, I got a high calling. Come on, tell them. God meets you where you are, but then he tells you that you were meant for more than just mindlessly plowing. You see, Elijah was comfortable, but change and comfort cannot coexist. That's why the second invitation is so important for the journey. It's an invitation to a deeper surrender. 1 Kings 19:20. Elijah then left his oxen and ran after Elijah. Let me kiss my father and mother goodbye, he said, and then I will come with you. Go back, Elijah replied. Go, I'm not holding you back. Elijah says, you better go kiss your mama goodbye, because there's no way you live out your calling if you don't. This is goodbye to everything he's been doing, everything he's known. Don't hear this sermon again. Remember I told you last week, this isn't parent bashing, grandparent bashing your kids or whatever. This is saying goodbye to the way things were, the way that you used to do things that you should not be doing any longer. Are you mad at your mom and dad because they raised you and let you live at their house? Of course not. Should you let your 36-year-old son who's had 14 jobs in the last 10 years keep living in your basement and play Xbox till 3 a.m.? No. You see how it changes with the season? It's dysfunctional. That's one reason we got to be careful, parents, the seeds that we plant, because every seed produces a thought. And every thought produces a behavior and a belief. And so what we say and what we do, there are because parents, we have to understand the season that they're in and help them through each season. Matter of fact, we got a great parenting class starting this month about the 4 stages of it, right? There are 4 stages. You can't just cuddle them for the whole life. Sorry, I talked like that. Had to get the point across. There's seasons. And it's our job to help them through those seasons. We must say goodbye to the way things were. That's what marriage is. That's what happened. You said goodbye. Forever, I'll never see them. Don't do that. Things are changing. Now you have a family. Now you're a provider. Now you're a helper. Now you're a parent. And I'll tell you this, it's dysfunctional if you're a parent trying to continually tell your kids how to parent. They'll ask you for advice. I can say this because I'm 37, it's like all like the grandparents are like, hey, you shut your mouth. No, hey, come on, right? Let them fail. Let them come to you. Be a friend. You have to say goodbye. The only way to go higher in your calling is for you to go deeper in your surrender, which sets us up to the third invitation, an invitation to a higher calling, an invitation to a deeper surrender, and then an invitation to greater things. In verse 21, we see Elijah, a man who had spent his life behind the plow, do something so drastic for the sake of his calling. It's unbelievable. Look, it says, so Elijah left him and went back. He took his yoke of oxen and slaughtered them. Now, this part wasn't all that crazy. We're going to get to the drastic part. This could be pretty normal. This isn't animal cruelty, the neighbors aren't calling PETA. There's a crazy guy on the loose slaughtering cows next door. Like, that's not taking place. It's what he does next that will set the tone for his entire life. Sometimes drastic situations and drastic things require some drastic measures and some drastic things. I won't share my whole story today. You can come see me and I'll tell you, what I had to do was drastic. It could have looked crazy, it really could have, or mean, or I had to set the tone for the rest of my life. It says he burned the plowing equipment to cook the meat, and he gave it to the people, and they ate. Then he set out to follow Elijah and became his servant. I understand killing the animals. Everybody gets fed. It's a going away party for Elisha. But burning the plowing equipment, burning what was your livelihood for so long, burning your way for so many years, the way that you functioned, the way that you thought, the way that you lived, the way that you paid the bill, like burning that, taking the instruments of everything you've ever known and burning them to cook some meat. It could almost seem a little irresponsible, a little radical, a little crazy on Elisha's part. I mean, if God calls you tomorrow to quit your business, you're not going to burn the building down, right? You're going to sell it, give half the money to the church. Like, that's what you're going to do, So it just seems drastic. My conclusion is that God did not put this in the Bible to teach us how to best steward farming equipment. It's a picture of surrender. It's a picture of sacrifice. And it's the only way we change, truly change. The only way we grow is through both of those things. What is surrender? What does it look like? I think it starts with leaving the way things were, not operating like a child any longer. Mom, dad, aunt, uncle, teacher, coach, grandparent, whatever, not allowing adults to operate like children any longer. The principles, the love, the care, that doesn't change. The way must. That is surrender. Elijah went on to do twice as many miracles as Elijah did. He went on to raise the dead. He spoke a word and the economy of an entire city changed. In a word, did unbelievable things. But it took a great surrender. To live out your calling, there are some things that we have to burn. Some things that we have to remove from our lives first. There are some things that we have to leave behind. There are some things that we have to say, well, I like this one. This one doesn't have anything on it. This is the new one. There are some things that we have to do. Some things when we're packing for the trip to say, I don't want to tell half-truths anymore. I don't want to have to exaggerate to feel worthy anymore. I don't want to have to just straight up lie to cover my tracks because I was covering my tracks to feel the proof. You know what? I'm not taking that with me on this journey. I'm not taking this crap. I don't have to bring that. I don't have to, and you don't have to. They like me, they love me, I'm still going on my trip. I've got to get somewhere, I've got to go somewhere. Man, don't pass this down. If someone can begin the cycle of dysfunction, someone can break it. This is my question today. Why not you? Why not you? Why don't you stop all those things? Why don't you stop speaking to your wife in that way? Why don't you stop thinking those things and putting unrealistic expectations for your kids? Why don't you start making different priorities? You want your kids to grow up fearing and loving the Lord? It's kind of up to your decisions and priorities right now. Listen, God has never commanded us to raise godly kids, but he's commanded us to be godly parents, to watch, to show, to instruct, to guide, and leave it to them. Would you bow your heads and close your eyes today?